All right, guys, we're going to break down the next matchup. We have Tennessee Tornadoes at Jukebox Heroes. And just real quick tidbit about this. Dylan and Chad are original members of the Jaybirds League. Dates back to 2008, and they've played each other a total of 10 times. And Chad, very surprising to me, the stats on this, and Chad's actually winning the series 8-2. He's won 8 games out of the 10 times that they've played, and has actually won the last 4 matchups. So Dylan hasn't beat Chad in over 4 years. So I mean, we're gonna look at this matchup, break it down, and see if Chad can continue that winning streak. First thing we're gonna look at is the quarterbacks. We got Peyton Manning and Kirk Cousins, and I made this bold prediction a little while ago, but I think Kirk Cousins is actually going to outproduce Peyton Manning in this matchup because Peyton Manning is playing Seattle. These guys, of course, going with Peyton Manning, the sheriff, and I don't know. I just like Cousins this week, and we'll see how that goes. But probably a slight advantage towards Manning, but I'm going with my bold prediction. And then at running backs, Dylan. This was the downfall of Dylan's draft, was running backs with Chris Johnson and Sankey. He's not starting any of those guys this week, and is starting the 2 waiver wire ads that he's got in Asiata and Bobby Rainey. Rainey had 2 fumbles in that horrible game against the Falcons, and still somehow managed 6.5 points in garbage time. And talent alone, Chad's got an advantage with Spiller and Bell. And Bell's got a tough matchup against Carolina, but I think still talent wins out. And I think that Chad's got an advantage at the running back position with Spiller and Bell. Now, at the wide receiver spot, Dylan's got Jordy Nelson and Julian Edelman, white power. And Chad has Emmanuel Sanders and Victor Cruz.
Black power.
Black power. So I think I understand Chad has got to be fresher with Victor Cruz. I had him last year, and he's a New York Giant. And he's got Eli Manning throwing the ball, and just hasn't been able to get in sync this year. And
has he done the salsa this year? He hasn't done the salsa?
No, he only did the salsa like 3 times last year and didn't do anything. But he's going up against Houston, and there's a lot of offensive line concerns. And I think Eli Manning's going to be running for his life. Yeah, I almost said AJ Manuel. I was just thinking bad quarterbacks. But Jordy Nelson and Julian Edelman, huge advantage at the wide receiver spot for Dylan. Now at the tight end spot, Chad's got an obvious advantage with Jimmy Graham with Minnesota coming to town, and then Dylan picked up Larry Donnell, the surprise tight end of the season so far for the New York Giants. He's put up respectable numbers, and I don't think that'll change. I think he'll, so-so numbers. What do you expect from a tight end? 5 to 6 points. And then in the flex, Chad's got Jeremy Hill, who had a nice game last week.
Good bird.
And Dylan's got T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton's got a cake matchup against Jacksonville, and I think that's going to really pay dividends. And Jeremy Hill, if he can get the touches he got last week, I think he'll put up decent numbers. But Tennessee's actually been a decent defense this year. So I think it's kind of a wash there. Then we can move down to the defenses. Dylan picked up the Colts defense against Jacksonville, which is a solid matchup because Jacksonville has been awful. Chad Henne has been sacked 10 times and leads the league in quarterbacks being sacked. Not a good bird. And Bill's defense is good, but they're going up against San Diego, and San Diego made Seattle look silly. Seattle's defense had -1 last week, so I think that's an advantage for Dylan there on that one. Kicker, Dylan's got Hauschka, and Chad's got Novak. I really like Hauschka, and going up against Denver, I think this could be a field goal type game for him. So I'm going to go with a slight advantage for Dylan on that one. Overall, between the 2 matchups, I just think with Peyton Manning, despite my prediction for Kirk Cousins, and Dylan's awesome receiving core, I say despite, but I think Chad's got more talent on his team despite Kirk Cousins, but I think Dylan's going to end up pulling the win and start the season off 3-0 and hand Chad his first loss of the season. What do you guys think? It's a tough decision. It's a very close matchup. It
is close, but I mean, just looking at Peyton Manning at quarterback, and then Jordy Nelson and Edelman with both great matchups this week. And then on top of that, his defense with the Colts, that's great. Hoshka looks great. He's probably going to get at least 2 to 3 field goals in that game, especially if it's a highly defensive game at home in Seattle. So, honestly, I would give a slight advantage to Dylan, and I think he ends the streak that Chad currently has over him. The 4-year streak, it's done. I think that Dylan has a slight advantage here, and he manages to pull it off and go 3-0.
What about you, Mitch? Without rehashing all the stuff that I said like Steven did.
I think Dylan wins.
We're in agreement.
I'm messing with you.
I think Dylan wins just based on his matchups, his offensive approach versus defensive approach. He's got better matchups there, I think, overall. Carolina's a good D. He's got, Seattle's a good D and Houston's a good D. So I think Dylan has better matchups. So I think Dylan's going to win also.
It's a sweep for us. So all 3 of us are picking Dylan. Dylan starts the season off 3-0, and Chad falls to 2-1.